Hey everybody, it's Kristen from Indiana. I just thought I would leave a little message. Try to be as quick as possible. I had a really pretty good weekend. Friday I had my first session with my wife in counseling, and the counselor, in a polite way, looked at her and said, Chris can't help the way she feels. She was born that way. It's not anything like she needed the man up. I spent 18 years in the Army. I went to jungle school, jump school, small arms school. I was a combat medic. Got injured when I was overseas in the Persian Gulf. Sucked in the oil fumes, had some lung damage. Had PTSD because we cleaned up Kuwait. So I was pretty manly. I was a pretty big guy. I'm 5'9". But I had worked on being strong. I didn't reach puberty like most people till I was probably about 21, 22. I still had people saying ma'am, even though I had a military haircut, when they'd hear my voice over the phone. So it didn't change for a long time. Anyway, and to prove that, let me show you something. If you couldn't tell, I was a white dude. And that's where I busted my leg up, broke my ankle in half, the tibia and the fibia. And there's a manly man, isn't he? Look, he's on a police motorcycle. Big burly guy. Anyway, like I said, had a pretty good weekend. I went to help my sister-in-law move. That's my wife's sister, and it's sort of a strange situation. The sister-in-laws are the ones that move our sister-in-law. My sister-in-law that lives in Indiana, and her sister-in-law that's married to her brother, we all spent about 4.5 hours together moving. Well, anyway, excuse me. Yes, Speedway, a place where you can get a good drink. Anything. So, after about a couple hours of moving, and Crystal looked at me, and she had noticed that I'd changed, that I'd lost like 60 pounds since the last time I saw her, and grew my hair out, and looked a lot different in the face. Like I mentioned on my last video, my face structure has actually changed, besides my voice. I got these big cheeks now. There's a lot more fat in my face. But she had noticed a lot of the changes in me. And she was sort of inquisitive, like my sister-in-law that knows that I'm transgender and that I have Klinefelter syndrome, which means I have an extra X chromosome. So I'm XXY. And my sister-in-law and I were talking in the car, and she looked over at me and said, "Now she is." And Crystal looked at me and said, "She?" So I turned around with a smile on my face, she's a nursing student. I said, we have to talk. So we had an interesting conversation on the way home, because they took me home because every time I've moved this woman, it's a jinx. The first time, I cracked my windshield. I tapped it to show my wife where the moving truck was. This time, I pull in from my counseling session that went really good. You know, I figured she'd go ballistic when she started going now she instead of he. So it was actually really good. And I won't get into how good of a weekend I had. But anyway, I blew a tire. I had a tire go flat. Come to find out, I had picked up a nail on the interstate on the way there, which is good in a way because I didn't blow out a tire till I got there. So I said I'd be back Saturday to pick it up and take care of the tire. Well, we had our conversation on the way back home, and she about made me cry. I explained to my other sister-in-law about me being transgender, and she said, oh cool, I'd never met anybody that was transgender. So she asked me, now, are you going to be a woman? I said, more than likely. And she said, are you going to stay married? I said, well, I'm trying. She said, then you're going to be a lesbian on top of it. And I just cracked up laughing. I was going like, yeah. So when we were almost home, my sister-in-law looked over at me and she said, you know, us sister-in-laws have to stick together because sometimes our spouses are real pains in the ass. And it was like, okay, that, you know, it was sort of really cool that she said to me, us sister-in-laws have to stick together. And she said, I consider you my sister-in-law, not my brother-in-law. So in that respect, it's pretty cool. We're supposed to go out Wednesday and either, you know, coffee or shopping or something. And Kristen has lots of questions. Pretty sure Vicky has got lots of questions. And it's really strange how they've sort of stood behind me and backed me up. I may be in a wedding in February. My youngest daughter's fiance is deploying to Afghanistan, and he's a combat medic, which is what I did for 18 years. Besides going to jump school, jungle school, all those, you know, said to be manly things, applying to as much dangerous positions as I could be in combat, and breaking my tibia and fibia in half, which was on that picture, where it says somewhere in Southwest Asia. I tried to be as manly as I could, and it didn't quite work. So when I got the chance to take my medical retirement and basically be Mr. Mom, I jumped at it. So in some respects, I think God was looking out for me, because without that in my life and my daughters, which is sort of cool that I ended up having daughters. They had a problem at the beginning with it, but anymore, I think they've got used to it. I mean, they've got used to how I look different, sound different, and act a lot different. I'm not such an asshole. I can still be an asshole, but, you know, it's got a whole lot better. I'm a lot happier with myself. I said for the first time in my life, I've actually been happy in my skin. Boobs and all. Even during the time when they were developing and they hurt like the dickens, it was an enlightening experience, and one that I think drew me closer to my own daughters. So I told my daughter, they plan on having a big wedding when he gets back from Afghanistan. And I said, even though I'll probably have hair down my shoulder by the time he gets back in 14 months, I would put it in a ponytail, pull my hair back, bind my chest if I had to, which more than likely I'll have to, and put on a tuxedo and walk her down the aisle. But I can guarantee you, people won't think that's the guy. And when they say, who gets this woman, it'll be me. So that may be interesting in its own respect. So all of you have a really good week, and love you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.